Welcome to my channel Sci-Fi Love Story. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. She closed her eyes. That was the moment Eli Carter realized something was wrong with the universe. The alien woman lay half-buried against the twisted frame of a downed dropship, her long limbs shaking as dark silver blood soaked into the dust beneath her. One of her breathing sacs fluttered weakly. The glowing lines along her pale blue skin pulsed out of rhythm, like a failing signal. She did not scream. She did not reach for a weapon. She did not beg. She simply closed her eyes and waited to die. Across the ruined valley of Karos 9, fires burned low. Broken towers leaned at impossible angles. Alien ships lay scattered across the horizon like the bones of dead giants. The battle had ended hours ago, or maybe days. Eli had lost track of time. The moment survival became the only rule that mattered. He stopped a few steps away from her. Eli had seen fear before. He had caused it. Every human soldier had, whether they admitted it or not, but this was different. This was not panic or hatred. This was surrender so complete it felt almost respectful. Slowly, carefully, Eli reached up and removed his helmet. Cold alien air hit his face, sharp and metallic. His hair was soaked with sweat. His eyes burned from exhaustion and smoke. Without the armor and visor, he looked less like the monster the galaxy imagined, and more like what he really was. A tired man who had seen too much. "I'm not going to kill you," he said. The universal translator at her collar flickered, buzzed, then hummed softly as it adjusted to his voice. Her eyes remained closed. Eli sighed through his nose. "Yeah, that checks out." Nobody ever believed that part. The alien woman was tall even while seated, her body built for grace rather than war. Her kind, the Aurelian, were famous across known space. Brilliant planners, perfect diplomats, ruthless when threatened, and utterly terrified of humans. Eli knelt slowly, keeping his hands where she could see them if she opened her eyes. "You're bleeding out," he said calmly. "If I wanted you dead, I'd just wait." That did it. Her golden eyes fluttered open, wide and disbelieving. "You speak," she whispered. "Yeah," Eli replied. "We do that sometimes." Her gaze dropped to the crude insignia scratched into his armor, a human symbol. In most alien databases, it was flagged as a warning marker. She swallowed. "Why?" she asked. The word carried centuries of fear. Why hadn't he killed her? Why was he kneeling instead of standing over her body? Why did a human look tired instead of furious? Eli reached into his pack and pulled out a battered medical injector. Human tech, scarred, reliable. "Because today's been bad enough," he said. She flinched as he leaned closer, muscles tensing, ready for pain or betrayal. But none came. The injector hissed softly as nanofibers flowed into the wound, sealing torn flesh and stabilizing her systems. The glow along her skin steadied. Her breathing slowed. She stared at him as if reality itself had just cracked. "You spare me," she said slowly. "Humans do not spare." Eli shrugged. "We do, just not when we're scared." Silence settled between them, heavy but no longer sharp. "My name's Eli," he said after a moment. She hesitated, Salen. "Well," he said, standing and offering his hand, "looks like we're both still alive." She stared at his hand. Then slowly she took it. High above Karos 9, hidden satellites watched everything. Alien intelligence cores recorded the human removing his helmet. The medical aid. The hand extended instead of a weapon. Across dozens of systems, analysts would replay that moment again and again. This was not how humans were supposed to behave. And that misunderstanding was about to change everything. Salen woke to silence. Not the sharp silence of a battlefield, but something deeper, still, heavy, the kind that made her wonder if she had already crossed into death. Her eyes opened slowly. Above her was a dull metal ceiling humming softly with blue lights. Human construction, crude by Aurelian standards but solid, honest. She inhaled sharply and sat up. Pain flared along her side, but it was controlled, treated. She was alive. That realization sent unease through her chest. Alive in a human shelter. Her gaze snapped around the room. Reinforced walls made from scavenged plating. Weapons lined one side, carefully arranged. Tools and half-built machines cluttered the other. Everything screamed survival. And there, standing at a console built from both human scrap and alien crystal, was Eli. He had his back to her, sleeves rolled up, hands deep inside an open power unit. Sparks flew as he adjusted something with a multi-tool. "You're awake," he said calmly without turning. She froze. "How did you know?" she asked. He glanced over his shoulder. "You gasped loud." "Of course, human senses were excessive." "You could have killed me while I slept," she said. "Yeah," he replied, "but that would have been rude." She studied him carefully now. No helmet, no weapon drawn, relaxed but ready. "You are not what we were taught," she said quietly. Eli snorted. "Funny, we say the same about you." She swung her legs over the edge of the cot, testing her balance. Weak, but improving. "My people believe humans are uncontrollable," she said. "Violent beyond reason. A species that escalates every conflict until nothing remains." Eli turned fully toward her. "And your people burned our colonies," he said evenly. "Took prisoners, ran experiments." Her glowing markings dimmed. "We believed you would destroy yourselves eventually," she said. "We chose to act first." Eli stared at her for a long moment, then he laughed, a tired, bitter sound. "Yeah," he said, "that tracks." The shelter lights flickered. Once, twice, then stabilized. Eli's expression hardened. "That's not good." Salen felt it too, a vibration in the air, a scan pulse. "They are searching," she said, "my people." Eli's jaw clenched. "Of course they are." He moved fast, activating screens and rerouting power. A holographic map flickered to life, showing scan waves passing dangerously close. "If they find me with you," Salen said, "they will assume collaboration. And that's bad because they will erase this region," she said, "humans included." Eli stared at the map. Then he smiled. It was not comforting. "Good," he said. She blinked. "Good." "They brought scanners," he continued. "That means command ships, relays, observers." He activated a device she hadn't noticed before, a strange hybrid of alien crystal and human wiring. "What are you doing?" she asked. "Something stupid," he replied, "which is usually our best move." Her eyes widened as she recognized stolen Aurelian components. "You cannot interface with that," she said. "Your biology is incompatible." "Yeah," he said. "Heard that before." The device hummed louder. Outside, distant engines roared. "How much authority do you have?" Eli asked suddenly. "I'm a strategic liaison," she said. "My signal codes carry weight." "Perfect." Before she could protest, he pressed a small injector against her collar node. "What are you?" The device flared to life. Across orbit, Aurelian command systems lit up. A signal burst through secure networks, not a hack. An invitation. Screens across the fleet filled with a new image. Salen's face. Behind her, unmistakably human technology. Beside her a human, alive, calm. Gasps rippled through command chambers. "This is Salen of the Aurelian Accord," her voice echoed across space. "I am alive, and I am under the protection of a human." Eli leaned into frame and waved. "Hi," he said, "we should talk." Silence. Then chaos. No one had prepared for a human, who refused to behave as expected. And somewhere far beyond the battlefield, the galaxy began to pay attention. The silence after Eli's wave lasted longer than anyone expected. Across the Aurelian command fleet, officers stared at their displays in disbelief. A human alive, calm, standing beside one of their own, not restrained, not threatened, not broken. This was not how encounters with humans ended. Salen felt it through the open channel, the hesitation, the fear trying to disguise itself as protocol. Eli leaned back in his chair, boots resting on the edge of the console, hands folded behind his head like he was waiting for transport instead of facing a fleet capable of glassing planets. "You're very quiet," he said. "That's usually when people decide whether to shoot me." At last an Aurelian commander stepped into view, tall, rigid. His glowing markings pulsed sharply with controlled tension. "Human," the commander said, voice clipped. "Release strategic liaison Salen immediately." Eli tilted his head. "Now." The commander's eyes narrowed. "This is not a negotiation." "That's where you're wrong," Eli replied calmly. "This is exactly that." Salen swallowed. She had stood before councils and war chambers her entire life, but never like this, never with the balance of power so unstable. "You are harboring an Aurelian officer," the commander continued. "This is an act of aggression." Eli shrugged. "Funny, I was thinking it was first aid." Murmurs rippled through the fleet channels. Salen realized something then. This was no longer about her survival. This was about control. For centuries, her people had built a perfect image of humanity, a monster that escalated endlessly, a danger that could only be contained by force. And Eli was tearing that image apart with sarcasm and patience. "Your people attacked our colonies," Eli said, his tone even. "You ran simulations, you knew we'd fight back." "That does not excuse your brutality," the commander snapped. Eli's expression changed, the humor drained away. "You want to talk brutality?" he asked quietly. "I grew up under orbital fire. I watched evacuation ships get vaporized because they were labeled acceptable losses." Salen's chest tightened. "You studied us like a math problem," Eli continued. "A variable to remove, but you never understood the solution." He leaned closer to the camera. "We don't stop when things get bad," he said. "We get creative." The commander raised a hand. "Enough, this transmission ends now." The feed began to destabilize. Salen stepped forward instinctively. "Wait." Her voice cut through the channel like a blade. "I am not a prisoner," she said firmly, "and I am not under duress." Her people froze. "You chose to trust a human," the commander said slowly. "Do you understand the risk?" "Yes," she replied. "I also understand the cost of misunderstanding them." She glanced at Eli. He met her gaze, surprised. "You fear humans because they escalate," she said, addressing the fleet. "But escalation is not their strength." She took a breath. "Adaptation is." The hesitation that followed was enough. Across the stars, observers began flagging the encounter. Neutral systems, rival powers, independent networks, something unprecedented was happening. A human wasn't winning by force. He was winning by refusing to behave as expected. Suddenly, the shelter shook. A sharp flash lit the horizon. A tremor rattled the walls. Eli was on his feet instantly. "That wasn't them," he muttered. Salen felt it too. The energy signature was wrong, cruder, hotter. "Mercenaries," she said, "or a proxy fleet." The map updated rapidly. 3 ships had dropped out of fold space just beyond the Aurelian scanning perimeter. "They saw the broadcast," Eli said grimly. "They smelled opportunity." Warning sirens howled. Debris rained down outside. "Your defenses won't hold against ships like that," Salen said. Eli flashed her a tight smile. Good thing I'm not trying to hold. He slammed a switch. The ground beneath them hummed, then shifted. The shelter's outer plating unfolded like mechanical petals, revealing buried structures beneath the ruins. You hid this under a city, Salen asked. People stopped looking at rubble, Eli replied. Humans learned that the hard way. The mercenary ships fired again. This time the beams bent, curved, slid harmlessly into the sky. Salen stared in disbelief. You're redirecting phase energy. With math I don't fully understand, Eli said, and instincts I trust more than manuals. Across nearby systems, sensors spiked. Observers leaned forward. This was no longer an anomaly. This was a statement. The mercenary fleet hesitated. That hesitation was fatal. A pulse rippled outward, not destructive but disruptive. Weapon systems flickered. Communications screamed. Ships drifted, blind and powerless. What are you doing? Salen whispered. Showing them something, Eli said. Humans don't just fight back. He opened a channel to everyone. All fleets, all observers, he said simply. This is Eli Carter, I'm human. The galaxy listened. You're watching because you're afraid, he continued, wondering if we're monsters or miracles. The mercenary ships began retreating. Here's the truth, Eli said, we're neither. He glanced at Salen. We're problem solvers. The final pulse disabled the mercenary fleet completely. No explosions, no debris, just silence. Then something extraordinary happened. Aurelian command ships adjusted formation, not to attack but to shield. Neutral fleets moved closer, choosing restraint. The shelter lights dimmed as systems powered down. Salen exhaled shakily. They won't forget this. Good, Eli replied. Neither will anyone else. Moments later, alerts flooded the console. Messages, requests, observers from systems that had quietly suffered under Aurelian dominance. They were watching humanity differently now. Not as monsters. As a variable no one could calculate. You just changed the balance of this region, Salen said. Eli shrugged. All I did was help someone who needed it. That's what frightens them, she said softly. A new transmission arrived. Aurelian High Council. The screen filled with elders, their markings controlled but tense. Salen, one spoke, return immediately. She stepped forward. I will, she said, but not alone. Shock rippled through the council. You would bring a human into Aurelian space, another demanded. Yes, she replied firmly, because if we do not understand them now, someone else will, and they will not be kind. The council hesitated. Then slowly they agreed. The channel closed. Eli exhaled. Well, that's new. You are walking into the heart of a civilization that fears you, Salen said. He shrugged. Story of my species. The Aurelian capital did not burn. That alone shocked the galaxy. Letha Prime rose beneath them, towers of living crystal wrapped in layered shields. Eli stood at the viewport, arms folded. Well, he said, at least it's pretty. The council chamber was vast and silent. You stand before us unarmed, an elder said. Habit, Eli replied. People listen better. A fleet alert chimed. A rival empire emerged from fold space. They intend to strike, Salen said. We'll lose ships, an elder said. Eli stepped forward. Or you let us help. Holograms filled the chamber. Human colonies, civilians, engineers, scavengers, not warships, people. We don't win by being bigger, Eli said. We win by adapting faster than you can plan. The rival fleet fired. And the galaxy watched as human signals lit up everywhere. Civilian craft rerouted power. Mining lasers became shields. Networks rewrote themselves. No command. Just cooperation. The attack fractured and dissolved. The rival fleet retreated. Silence filled the chamber. "You do not seek domination," an elder said. "No," Eli replied. "We seek survival with options." The council rose. "We revise our stance," the eldest declared. "Humanity is not a threat." Eli smiled. "Good, we're terrible enemies." Later, as stars drifted past once more, Salen stood beside him. "You changed everything," she said. He shook his head. "I just didn't do what you expected." Across the galaxy, records updated. Humanity classification: unpredictable, adaptive, cooperative. Final note added: do not assume fear defines them. They turn it into possibility. The universe expected monsters. Humanity chose something far more dangerous. Joyce. End.